Hello, friends. I welcome you all in our today's discussion for multiple choice questions, 2 marks questions, and case studies pertaining to our subject ABM. आज के डिस्कशन में मैं आप सभी का स्वागत करता हूं और आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं कि एक बार आप आपका ऑडियो और वीडियो चेक कीजिए ताकि आपको कोई दिक्कत ना हो। साइमल्टेनियसली ड्यूरिंग डिस्कशन अगर आपको कोई क्वेरी हो, आपका कोई क्वेश्चन हो, तो प्लीज मेक द यूज ऑफ कमेंट बॉक्स so that we can resolve your query immediately. So let us start for the first question, and the first question is a case study wherein it is for university preference poll. So what is the question? So out of a sample of 250 students, 92 preferred hybrid mode learning. Find the 95% confidence interval estimate. 250 स्टूडेंट में उन्होंने 250 स्टूडेंट से बात की। उन्होंने एक सैंपल बेसिस पे 250 स्टूडेंट को पूछा कि कितने लोगों को हाइब्रिड मोड लर्निंग अच्छा लगेगा। तो उसमें से आउट ऑफ 250 92 स्टूडेंट्स प्रिफर्ड हाइब्रिड मोड लर्निंग। सो हमें 95% कॉन्फिडेंस इंटरवल एस्टिमेट्स को फाइंड आउट करना है। सो दीज आर द ऑप्शंस दैट आर बीन गिवन. So shall we start for doing this? Yes, please. So initially we have to find out how many students have agreed for this. So how many students out of 250, 92 students have agreed for that. So P bar is equal to how many students have agreed for that. So sample proportion कितने agreed किए? 92 divided by 250, that is 0.368 students, that is 36.8% students have agreed for hybrid mode learning. So when 0.368 students or 36.8% students have agreed for that, it means the balance students have not agreed for hybrid mode learning. How much are they? That is 1 minus 0.368. So what is the Q bar? Q bar is equal to 1 minus 3.68, that is 0.632. So you can see this calculation also. Now we have to calculate the standard error for this. So what is the formula for standard error in this case? Standard error is equal to that is P bar into Q bar divided by N. What is P bar here? P bar is 0.368 into Q bar, or you can say that into 1 minus P bar, that is 0.632 divided by 250. So 0.368 divided by 0.632 divided 0.368 multiplied by 632 divided by 250, which comes to 00093, and we have to find out the square root of this. So what is the square root of this? So square root of 00093 is square root of 00093 is 0.0305. So what is the standard error? Standard error is 0.0305. So here again you have to remember that formula. Now what is the Z score? Z score at 95% level is, as per this table, it is 1.96. So when as per table it is 1.96. Now what they have asked us? They have asked us to calculate the confidence interval estimate. How to calculate the confidence interval estimate? This can be counted is equal to sample mean plus or minus margin of error. So how shall we calculate? What is the standard error here? So here it is 0.368 minus 1.96 into 0.0305. So what is the standard error here? 0.0305. So what will be the formula? For firstly we have to calculate the sample margin of error. So how will we calculate the margin of error? Margin of error is equal to Z into Z into variance divided by square root of n, that we have already calculated, as 0.0305. So 0.0305 into 1.96, and that amount you have to deduct from the P bar, that is 0.368. So 0.368 minus 1.96 into 0.0305 is equal to 0.308. And upper layer, what is this is lower confidence interval. What is upper confidence interval or upper confidence level? Is equal to 0.368 plus 1.96 into 0.0305 is equal to 0.428. So what is the interval? Interval between 0.0308 and 0.428. So for me, A is the correct answer for this question. Now it means that we are 95% confident that the true proportion of all students in the population, and not just the sample, who prefer hybrid mode learning lies between 30.8% to 42.8%. So अगर एक जनरल ग्रुप का अगर हम डिस्कस करेंगे, नॉट फॉर दिस स्पेसिफिक 250 स्टूडेंट्स, बट एक जनरल ग्रुप का अगर या जनरल स्टूडेंट्स का हम कंसिडर करते हैं, तो बिटवीन 30.8% टू 42.8% स्टूडेंट्स दे विल एग्री फॉर द hybrid mode learning. So this is the way in which we can do this calculation. Now let us go for the next question. Estimating weekly trading volume. Now let us go. Firstly, we will read the statement, then we will go for the actual calculation. A weekly trading volume in thousands of stock has population variance of 3600. What is the population variance? Population variance is 3600. That is the sigma square. Then a random sample of 81 weeks shows an average volume of 9,85,000. लेकिन उन्होंने जब 81 वीक्स का रैंडम सैंपल किया तो उसमें उनका एवरेज वॉल्यूम कितना था? 9,85,000. It means 9,85,000. Find out the standard error of the mean and construct 99% confidence level. तो एक तो हमें स्टैंडर्ड एरर निकालनी है एंड 99% कॉन्फिडेंस इंटरवल कैलकुलेट करना है. सो लेट अस स्टार्ट फॉर दिस. So the first step is we have to calculate the standard error. How shall we calculate the standard error? Standard error is equal to square root of population variance divided by the number of weeks, that is the sample, that is n. So what is this? 3600 divided by 81. So this calculation comes to square root of 44.44 because this is coming in square root only. So square root of 3600 divided by 81 is equal to 44.44. So final answer is 6.67, or you can say that the square of 6.67 is 44.44. So next step is we have to calculate the z-score for we have to calculate the 99% confidence interval. We have to calculate, but for that purpose we should know the z-score for 99% confidence, which is 2.58 as per the table. So table से हमने जब वो figure ले लिया, it comes to 2.58%. Now we have to calculate the interval for that. So how shall we calculate what is the mean, what is the average volume for 81 week sample? Average volume for 81 week sample is 985. 9,85,000. They have already told us that the weekly trading volume is in thousands. So we will take into consideration as 985. So 985 minus, already as we have calculated in the last slide also, 985 minus margin of error, minus margin of error. So 985 minus, how shall we calculate the margin of error? Z into standard error will be our answer for this. Z into margin of error. So what is the Z here? Z is 2.58. And what is the margin, what is the standard error? What is the standard error that we have calculated is, please. What is the standard of error? What is the standard error? Standard error that what we have calculated is 6.67. So 2.58 into 6.67 is equal to 17.21. So 985 minus 17.21 is equal to 967.79. And if we are going for upper layer, upper confidence level is equal to 985 plus 17.21, that is 1002.21. So in this case, the answer is for standard error, it is 6.67. It is common in all, and lower confidence level at 99% is 967.69, that is 967.80 you can take, and 1002.20. So A is the correct answer for our question. Next question, बैंक टेलर ट्रांजैक्शन टाइम, बैंक जो टेलर सर्विस प्रोवाइड करती है उसके ऊपर नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन है. ए बैंक लॉक्स टाइम टू कंप्लीट द ट्रांजैक्शन, टेलर की ट्रांजैक्शन कंप्लीट होने का लॉक टाइम कितना है? ए बैंक लॉक्स टाइम टू कंप्लीट द ट्रांजैक्शन, द नोन पॉपुलेशन स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन इज 2.6 मिनट्स. कितना दिया है पॉपुलेशन स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन? Population standard deviation is 2.6 minutes. That is, and a sample of 100 transactions, n is equal to 100, which shows that mean time of 5.9 minutes. कितना है mean time? Mean time is 5.9 minutes for sample 100 transaction. सो हमें स्टैंडर्ड एरर डिटरमाइन करनी है. डिटरमाइन द स्टैंडर्ड एरर एंड इंटरवल एस्टिमेटिंग यूजिंग वन स्टैंडर्ड एरर. तो जो स्टैंडर्ड एरर आ जाएगा, by using that standard error we have to calculate the interval estimates. So let us go for the answer. So what is the formula for standard error? That we have already seen it, that standard error is equal to sigma, that is the population standard deviation divided by square root of n is our formula. I am again telling you the formula for standard deviation is equal to square sigma, that is the population standard deviation, that is 2.6 divided by square root of n, that is square root of 100. So that formula we have already mentioned here. So standard error is equal to sigma divided by square root of n. So 2.6 divided by square root of 100 is equal to 2.6 divided by 10, because square root of 100 is nothing but the 10. So our answer will be 0.26. What is the standard error in this case? It is 0.26. So what is the Z? So here they have already give you the means, means level, they have already given you the means. What is the means here? It is 5.9. Mean time for sample is 5.9 minutes. So 5.9 minus standard error is equal to, we can find out the interval estimates. So lower confidence interval, how can we calculate? It is 5.9 minus 0.26 is equal to 5.64, and 5.9 plus 0.26 is equal to 616. So these are the intervals. So here, as per answer sheet, standard error is 0.26 is common among all, but lower level or lower interval is 5.9, 5.64, and upper interval is 6.16. So A is the correct answer for our question. So in this case, this answer is repeated. So you can take either A or D as your answer. Both the answers are correct. Next question. A survey of 200 graduate students. In a survey of 200 graduate students, 98 reported experiencing burnout due to extended remote learning schedule. So 200 ग्रेजुएट स्टूडेंट का जो सर्वे किया, उसमें 98 स्टूडेंट्स ने बर्नआउट 98 स्टूडेंट्स ने ये बताया कि बिकॉज ऑफ एक्सटेंडेड रिमोट लर्निंग शेड्यूल दे आर एक्सपीरियंसिंग बर्नआउट. So 98 is our P bar here. So estimate the standard error of proportion. तो हमें एक तो स्टैंडर्ड एरर निकालना है. Estimate the standard error of the proportion and construct 95% confidence interval for the true proportion of students facing burnout. So how shall I calculate the standard error here? Standard error I can calculate here is equal to, firstly, what is my sample proportion? Sample proportion कितना है? 200 में से कितने लोगों ने एक्सपीरियंस अपना बताया? 98. So 98 divided by 200, it means 0.49 students have reported the experiencing burnout. So for 0.49 students have experienced that. So it means 0.51, 1 minus P, that is Q hat. So Q hat is equal to 1 minus P hat. So 0.49 into 1 minus 0.49 divided by N, that is the sample number, is equal to my standard error. So 0.49 into 0.51 divided by 200 will be our standard error, and you have to take the square root of this. So square root of 0.49 into 0.51 divided by 200 will be the standard error. So what will be the standard error? 0.49 into 0.51 is equal to 0.2499 divided by 200. So answer comes to 0.00125. So with that, we have to take the square root of this 0.00125. So what is the answer for this 0.00125? 0.0353 is the answer for our question. So what is the standard error? Standard error is 0.053 in case of the 98 students who have reported experiencing burnout out of 200 students. Now we have to find out this 95% confidence interval. So for that purpose, we should know the Z score to calculate the margin of error. So to calculate the margin of error, we should have the Z score for 95% confidence, which is 1.96 as per the table. So how will we calculate the margin of error? Margin of error is equal to standard error into Z score for 95% confidence. So what will be the answer? 1.96, that is the Z score, into 0.053, that is standard error. So my answer will be 0.0692. So what is my margin of error? Margin of error is 0.0692. Now how shall I calculate my confidence interval? My confidence interval is equal to P hat plus or minus Z into AC. So Z into AC that we have already calculated here. So that for this answer is 0.692. So my confidence interval will be P hat, that is 0.49. See, we have calculated here. So 0.49 minus 0.0692 is equal to 0.4208. It is lower confidence interval. And 0.49 plus 0.0692 is equal to 5592 will be my upper confidence interval. So with this 0.42, firstly we should see that sample proportion is 0.049. And what is my standard error? Standard error is 0.0353, that is 0.035. So A should be our correct answer with 0.420. Okay, they have taken it as 0.053, they have taken it as 0.036 with 0.42 and 0.56. So D will be the correct answer for our question. Next question. An electrical engineer runs voltage test on 15 integrated circuits. Sample size kitna hua? 15 integrated circuits. They have already given it here. 15 integrated circuits are there. Unka readings kya tha? 4.8, 4.9, 5.0, so and so forth. And last is 5.1 and 4.9. So ये 15 integrated circuits का उन्होंने वोल्टेज टेस्टिंग दिया हुआ है. हमें क्या क्या काउंट करना है? पॉपुलेशन मीन काउंट करना है. वी हैव टू कैलकुलेट द पॉपुलेशन मीन. वी हैव टू कैलकुलेट द पॉपुलेशन वेरिएंस, दैट इज सिग्मा. So let us calculate the population mean first. How will you calculate? For me, what is the number? N is equal to 15 integrated circuits. So 15 is my number. And we have to, when we have to calculate the mean, what we have to do? We have to take the total of all these readings for this 15 integrated circle. So sum of xi, that is known as a xi. So sum of xi, the sum total of this is 74.8. अगर मैं सभी के टोटल करता हूँ तो that will be 74.8. Now I have to calculate the mean. How shall I calculate the mean? 74.8 divided by 15, that is 4.9867 will be my mean. So 4.9867. So hopefully 4.99 should be your answer for this. 4.987 will be my mean, that I have to keep it in mind. Now I have to go for the variance. I have to go for the population variance. So how shall I go for that? Firstly, I have to calculate the how many students have, or no, in this case, what is the average mean, and whether at every circuit average, a normal number, regular number is more or lesser than that as the mean number. So in first case, 4.8 is the actual voltage minus 4.9867. So in that case, this is minus 0.1867 will be the x minus xi. So this is the number. So in this way, we will calculate in all the cases. 4.9 minus, in second case, it is 4.9 minus 4.9867. So again, this is minus. In third case, 5 minus 4.9867, it means this is 0.0133. Likewise, we are doing the calculations for all the 15 circuits. In some cases, it will be minor. In some cases, this will be plus. Now we have to calculate the square of this xi minus x bar square. So we have to, how will we calculate? We have already calculated that 1.1867, we have to take the square of column B here, that is the 0.1867 square is equal to 0.0349. 0.00867 square of 0.0867 is 0.0075. Likewise, we have to take the square of every number which is reflected here. And if you see that even if this xi minus average or means, even if it is negative, your square for every item will be positive, because whenever you are doing the multiplication of minus into minus, your answer will be plus. So when you got the square for second row, second column, then what is the sum total of this? Sum total of this is 0.3964 is the total of this. This will be useful for us while calculating the sample variance. Now how shall we calculate the sample variance? Is equal to 1 minus n upon 1. What is n here? N is 15 here. So n minus 1 is equal to 14. So 1 upon 14 into sum of xi minus x bar square. What is xi minus x bar square? This is nothing but the third row in the about it table. So how much it is? It is 0.3964. So what will be my calculation? 0.3964 divided by 14 is equal to 0.0283. So 0.0283 will be my sample variance. So what is my sample variance? 0.0283. So here they have taken it in 3 digits only. So C will be my correct answer for this question. Now let us go for next question. Inclusive to exclusive class conversion. इंक्लूसिव से एक्सक्लूसिव को कन्वर्ट करना है. So given the inclusive class intervals 12 to 16 and 7 to 21, convert the first into exclusive format, and what are the new lower and upper class limits of the first interval? See, there are two class intervals. First is 12 to 16 and 17 to 21. So it means 12 से 16 में जो फ्रीक्वेंसी आएगी वो पहले इंटरवल में आएगी, 17 से 21 वाली फ्रीक्वेंसी दूसरे में आएगी. द इशू इज दैट और द क्वेश्चन इज दैट अगर 16 एंड 17 के बीच में वाला नंबर आएगा, वेयर विल इट गो? So that is the reason, that is the problem with inclusive conversion. So now we have to conclude it into exclusive. How will we calculate it? So firstly, we have to find out the gap between the upper class limit of the first group and lower class limit of the second group. So gap between the lower limit of the next class and upper limit of the current class. What is the upper limit of the current class? It is 16. What is the lower limit of the next class? That is 17. So 17 minus 16 is equal to 1 is the gap. Anybody can say it. Now we have to make the half of that. So what is the half of that? 1 divided by 2 is equal to 0.5. This is the half of the gap. Now what we want now? Now lower and upper class limit of the first interval. What is first interval? 12 to 16. What we have to do? In lower limit, what or lower level what they have given, we have to deduct this gap. So 12 minus 0.5 is equal to 11.5. that is my lower class limit. And what is my upper class limit? Upper class limit, you have to add that add that half of the gap, that is 16 plus 0.5 will be 16.5. So what is my new lower and upper class limit for the first interval? It will be 11.5 to 16.5. That will be my answer. So B is the correct answer for our question. अभी मैंने आपके लिए एक मैसेज लाया हुआ है कि जैसे आपको अवगत है, हम CIB या JAIIB या सभी प्रोफेशनल एग्जाम्स के लिए क्लासेस कंडक्ट करते हैं. अभी हमने फॉर दो स्टूडेंट्स हु आर पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन CIB, JAIIB एंड प्रमोशनल एग्जाम्स, फॉर देम वी आर प्रोवाइडिंग बेस्ट क्वालिटी रिकॉर्डेड वीडियो लेसन्स, PDF question banks, case studies videos, and we are also providing interactive live classes. And all these facilities are available at a very low price. So मेरी आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है कि एक बार आप nstoorSchoolofBanking.com इस वेबसाइट को विजिट कर दीजिए, जहां आपको इसके बारे में डिटेल इंफॉर्मेशन मिल जाएगी. एंड देन ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट, अगर आप उसको यूज करना चाहते हो तो you can make the use of it, you can make the benefit of this because they are available at a very low price. मेरी आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है कि यही मैसेज आप आपके फ्रेंड्स एंड कलीग्स को भी कन्वे कीजिए ताकि वो भी इसका बेनिफिट ले सकेंगे. इसी के साथ साथ मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं कि सिंस वी आर इन दिस लाइन ऑफ एक्टिविटी फॉर मोर देन लास्ट 30 years and we are providing various types of facilities or guiding material to the students who are appearing for CIB, JAIIB and promotional examination. And as a result of this, more than 10 lakh students have been benefited by using the material that has been provided by us during their examination. So now let us go for our next question. Now next case study is regarding comparing two samples. Please read it now. Two random samples are drawn from an infinite population. This word is very important. कहाँ से निकाला? Infinite population से दो random sample निकाल लिए. And sample A has a size of 100 and sample B has a size of 400. If the population standard deviation is 16, what is the ratio of standard error of sample A and sample B? How will you calculate? कि एक इन्फिनिट जो पॉपुलेशन ग्रुप है उसमें से दो सैंपल निकाल लिए. एक सैंपल का साइज 100 का है, दूसरा सैंपल 400 का है. अगर ग्रुप का स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन जो है वो 16 है, इन दैट केस सैंपल ए और सैंपल बी का जो स्टैंडर्ड एरर है उनका रेशो क्या होगा? बिकॉज साइज में एक ए में 100 नंबर है, बी में 400 नंबर है. So let us see now. So what is the standard error for A? How will we calculate the standard error? Standard error is equal to population standard deviation divided by square root of n, that is the sample size. So what is the, firstly we will calculate for the sample standard deviation. Then firstly we will calculate the standard error for group A or sample A. How will we calculate? 16, because what is my population standard deviation? It is 16 divided by 100, square root of 100. So 100 is the sample size, that is n. So 16 divided by 100 is equal to 1.6 is the standard error for A. In that way you can try for B also. Though I have shown, please you try to do it on yourself. It is very easy to calculate. You have to calculate in the same way you have to calculate. So what is the standard error for B? It is 16 divided by square root of n, that is 400, that is 16 divided by 20, so it comes to 0.08%. So for standard error of A, our answer is 1.6, and for standard error of B, our answer is 0.8. What we have to find out? We have to find out the ratio among them. How shall I find out the ratio among them? Standard error of A divided by standard error of B, then we will be able to get the ratio of that. So 1.6 divided by 0.8 is equal to 2. So what is the ratio? Ratio is 2, or you can say that the standard error of A is double to that of the standard error of B. So A is the correct answer for our question. Now let us go for the next question. Probability. Here we have to calculate regarding probability. Probability for symmetric interval around mean. Yeah, mean is given and you have to find out the probability. A systolic blood pressure of population. This is important one. A systolic blood pressure of population is normally distributed with mean 122 mmHg. What is the mean here? 122. Standard deviation is 20 mmHg. What is standard deviation? 20. So population का mean है 122, population का standard deviation है 20. When the sample of 49 individual is taken, अगर 49 individuals का sample लिया जाता है, what is the probability that sample mean lies between 115 and 115 and 129 mmHg. So अगर मैं 49 members का sample लेता हूँ तो सैंपल मीन 115 से 129 के बीच में रहने की कितनी प्रोबेबिलिटी है, कितनी पॉसिबिलिटी है. So for that purpose, let us start for the calculation first. So to find the probability that sample means lies between the 115 and 129, we use central limit theorem, CLT. In previous session also we have discussed about this. So we will use the central limit theorem, that is known as the CLT, which tells us that sampling distribution of the mean will approximately normal with the following characteristics. So now let us see what is the information that is being given us here. So what is my population is normulated with mean of 122. So my population mean is 122. What is known as the population mean? How it is called? Mu. What is mu here? It is 122 mmHg. So I got the population mean from the question. What is the population standard deviation? That is sigma is 20 mmHg, which is also given in the question itself. Now sample size कितना है? Sample size is 49, that is small n. So n is 49. Now we have to calculate the standard error. How shall we calculate the standard error? Standard error is equal to sigma divided by square root of n. What is sigma? What is population standard deviation? Population standard deviation is 20 here. 20 divided by what is the sample number? 49. So 20 divided by square root of 49, that is 20 divided by 7. So my standard error in this case is 2.857. This formula is very important formula. Please try to keep it in mind. So standard error is 2.857. So first thing what they have asked us is probability. Probability that the sample mean lies between 115 and 129. So now we have to convert the raw values. What is the range that they have given? 115 and 129. So we convert the raw values, that is 115 and 129 to Z scores by using the formula. तो हमें ये जो रेंज दी हुई है उन्होंने 115 एंड 129 की, उसको हमें Z स्कोर में कन्वर्ट करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज देन ओनली वी विल बी एबल टू गेट द Z वैल्यूज फॉर Z. So if x is 115, that is lower level जो है, so if x is 115, what is the, how shall I find out the Z score? Z score is equal to x minus population mean mu, x minus mu divided by the standard error. That is the formula. In that way I can calculate it. How shall I calculate? Z is equal to x minus mu divided by standard error. What is the meaning of mu? What is the meaning of mu? Meaning of mu is population mean. So what is the population mean here? 122. So x is equal to, what is the lower level? So 115 minus 122 divided by standard error is 2.857. So it is minus 2845. Why minus 245? Because 115 minus 122 is equal to minus 7. So minus 7 divided by 2.857. So my answer will be minus 2.45. Please you calculate for 129 in the similar way you have to calculate it. Please, it's my request for you to calculate it on your own, ताकि आपके कंसेप्ट एक बार क्लियर हो जाएंगे, आपकी प्रैक्टिस भी हो जाएगी. So now can we start for this? Now we have calculated it by considering at x as 115. Now we will go for upper level, that is x is equal to 129. So Z2 is equal to 129 minus 122 divided by 2.57. See, rest of the things will remain the same, only the value of x will change. So this will be plus 245. So what is the probability? Probability will fall between Z1 and Z2. So using the standard normal distribution table, what is the lower side? P is equal to, it is Z is less than 245, and as per P into Z is less than minus 245. So for minus 245 it is 0.0071, and for Z plus 245 it is 0.9929. So we have to find out the probability. To find out the probability, what is the, because we got that probability at Z is less than 245, it is 0.09929, and probability at Z is less than minus 2.45, it is 0.0071. So we have to find out the interval probability between 115 and 129 is, we have to deduct this minus, we have to deduct this 0.0071 from 0.9929. So 0.9929 minus 0.0071 is equal to 0.9858. So 0.9858 will be our answer, and the probability of sample mean lies between 115 and 129 is 0.9858. So in this way we have solved this question. Very easy to understand, interesting to know also. Now because of our regular practice, we understood so many concepts clearly. So please keep all the formulas in mind, because that will be helpful to us. Now next question. Estimating probability of low defect count. लो डिफेक्ट काउंट के प्रोबेबिलिटी कितनी है वो हमें एस्टिमेट करनी है. सपोज 5% ऑफ द मशीन कंपोनेंट्स आर टिपिकली फॉल्टी. सो जितना अगर मशीन्स रहते हैं उसमें 5% मशीन्स नॉर्मली फॉल्टी रहते हैं. इफ 400 आर इंस्पेक्टेड, व्हाट इज द प्रोबेबिलिटी दैट फ्यूअर देन 14? तो 5% के हिसाब से आने कितने चाहिए? 20% होने चाहिए. लेकिन अगर हम 400 मशीन का इंस्पेक्शन करते हैं तो 14 से कम मशीन डिफेक्टिव आने के या फॉल्टी आने की प्रोबेबिलिटी कितनी है? So fewer than 14 components are defective. So how shall we calculate it? So firstly, in the same as we discussed in the previous slide, to find the probability, we will use the normal approximation to the binomial distribution, which is valid because n is equal to 400. Sample size is very large, whereas the probability is very low. What will be the probability? It is 5% only. So 5% means 0.05. So probability is low and n sample is large. So in that case, it is better to go for normal approximation instead of binomial distribution method. So here n is equal to 400, p is equal to probability of defective machine is 5%, that is 0.05. So both np and n into 1 minus p is less than 5. So what is the NP? NP is equal to 400 into 0.05, that is 20, and n into 1 minus p. 1 minus p means n into 400 into 0.95 is equal to 380. So we have calculated the probability in both the cases. Now we are defining the various parameters what they have given it to us. So number of trials, that is n is equal to 400. What is the probability? I am again repeating it because here it is mentioning. What is the probability of default? 0.05. What is the mean? That is mu. What is the mean? Mean is n into p, that is 20. Or we can calculate in the simple way also, 5% on 400, that is 20. What is the standard deviation? Sigma. Standard deviation of sample is equal to the standard deviation of population is equal to square root of n into p into q, or 1 minus p. So what is the square root of n is equal to 400. What is the p probability? P is 0.05. And what is the 1 minus p? That is 1 minus 0.05, that is 0.95. So what will be the standard deviation here? Square root of 400 into 0.05 into 0.95 is equal to 19. So square root of 19 is equal to 4.36. So what is my standard deviation in this case? My standard deviation is 4.96. Now what we want? We want the probability that when the number will be less than 14. What will be the probability that fewer than 14 machines will be defective? So P into P is probability क्या है? The probability is X is less than 14. We have assumed the probability less than 14 की कितनी होगी? So apply continuity correction. So use P into X is equal to, when it is 14, we will take into consideration as 14 minus 0.5, that is 40. Probability is less than 13.5. We will calculate on the basis of this. So how will we convert it into z-score? How shall we calculate the z-score on the basis of this information? So z-score is equal to X. Now what is the X here? X is, we have taken into consideration as 13.5 minus mu. What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of the what is the meaning of mean? That is the, what is the meaning of the mean? So what is the meaning of mu? Mean, how much is the me? Me is 20. So X is 35 minus mu, that is 20, divided by sigma. Sigma is my 4.36. So 13.5 minus 20 divided by 4.36. So 13.5 minus 20 comes to minus 6.5, in divided by 4.36 is equal to, answer will be minus 1.49, because numerator is in minus. So answer will be minus 1.49. Now we have converted this at x is less than 13.5. We have calculated it into z score. We have converted it into the z score. So from normal standard database, when z is less than minus 149, what will be my z? Z score will be 0.0681 or 6.81% of x. So what will be the probability? Probability is when the fewer than or lesser than 14 machines will be defective, the probability will be 6.81%. So normal probability जो 5% है, instead of that it will be it will be 6.81%. So 6.81% will be our answer for this question. Now let us go for the next question, that is agricultural yield estimate. A, a researcher sample 60 farms, that is N is small n is 60 farms. A researcher samples 60 farms from a population of 800. So how much is population? That is big N, it is 800. Finds the sample standard deviation of the rice yield, sample standard deviation of the rice yield to be 420 kg. Estimate the population standard error of the mean. हमें क्या फाइंड आउट करना है? हमें population standard error of the mean फाइंड आउट करना है. So we have to find out the population standard error. For that purpose, firstly we have to calculate the finite population correction. So how will we calculate the standard error? Without finite population correction, they have already given it is finite population correction is 0.9810. So here we will calculate that without finite population standard correction. How will we calculate? What is my sample size? Sample size is 60. As already I have discussed with you. What is my population size? Population size is 800, that is big N. Sample standard deviation. Sample standard deviation, that is sigma, is equal to 420. Sample standard deviation, they have already given you sigma as 420. So what is the square root of n? Square root of a small n is 60, that is square root of small n is 7.75. Why it is required? Because we have to calculate the standard error here. So standard error is equal to, we have to calculate the standard error. So standard error is equal to sigma divided by square root of n. What is the sigma here? Standard deviation कितना दिया हुआ है? 420 divided by 7.75. So standard error कितना है? What is my standard error? It is 54.19 will be my standard error. Now I have to calculate it that n population x, p and q. What is the p? N minus n. So what is my total population? Infinite population is 800 minus 60, that is 740, divided by 800 minus 1 is equal to 799. So what will be the answer for that? That answer for this is 0.9810. So final estimate, how shall I derive that? That what is my standard error? That is 54.19 minus 0.9810. That is what is being given here. That finite for population correction is 0.9810. So my final estimate will be 52.22. So what is my correct answer? 52.22 will be my correct answer for this question. Now let us go for the next question. Hospital stay duration estimate. The population variance. This is the population variance that they have given. So population variance for hospital stay during is 49 days. So what is the population variance? 49. A sample of 64 patients, n is equal to 64. The average stay was found to be 11.3 days. So from a sample of 64 patients, the average stay was found to be 11.3 days. It means for average mean sample mean कितना हुआ? 11.3 days. Estimate the standard error and construct a कॉन्फिडेंस इंटरवल विथ 95% कॉन्फिडेंस. ये तीन इंफॉर्मेशन से हमें क्या करना है, हमें एक तो स्टैंडर्ड एरर फाइंड आउट करनी है एंड उसके बाद कॉन्फिडेंस इंटरवल विथ 95% कॉन्फिडेंस काउंट करना है. सो लेट अस गो फॉर द सॉल्यूशन नाउ. So as usual, firstly we have to calculate the standard error. What is the formula for standard error? Standard error is equal to, because standard error, yeah, here they have given us the variance. So what is the variance? See, population variance is 49 days. Here they have provided us the variance. So formula for standard error is equal to square root of variance divided by the square root of mean. Divided by n. So what is the square root of 49? Square root of 49 divided by square root of 64 is equal to, say, 0.7656. So square root of 7656, the correct answer will be 0.87. I am again telling you, here we have been provided a population variance. We have the sample number. So in that case, the standard error is equal to square root of population variance divided by the sample number. So my population variance is 49 and my sample number is 64. So 49 by 64 is 0.7656. We have to find out the square root of that, which is nothing but the 0.87. So what is my standard error here? It is 0.87, but in all the questions, in all the options, they have given it as 0.87 only. So with this, I am not able to find out my correct answer. Now Z score for 95% confidence is 1.96, that we have to obtain it from the standard table. So now we have to find out the interval. They want to have the interval with 95% confidence. We have standard error, we have confidence Z, we have the values of the Z. So how will we calculate it? Standard error plus and minus Z score into plus and minus Z score. Then here, how shall we calculate it? First is sample mean, that is the average stay was 11.3. How shall we calculate the interval? So we will calculate the interval is the mean plus or minus margin of error. So how shall we calculate the margin of error? Margin of error is equal to 1.96, that is my Z score, into standard error of the mean. What is the standard error? 0.87. So how shall I calculate? 11.3. How 11.3 has come here? This is the mean for sample. So mean for sample is 11.3 minus margin of error. What is the margin of error? Margin of error is equal to Z into standard error, so which comes to 1.71. So what we have to do this? What we have to do this is 11.3 minus 1.7, so that will be the lower level, and 11.3 plus 1.71, that is 13.1, will be the upper level. So what will be my correct answer? 9.59, and 13.1 will be my correct answer. So A is the correct answer for our question. Now let us go for the next question. Machinery calibration confidence level at 96.3. How will we calculate it? Let us read the question first. A quality analyst inspects calibration data for a machine. The population standard deviation is 1.9 units. कितना है? Population standard deviation they have given 1.9 units. So what is the population standard deviation? That is the sigma. So sigma is 1.9. Sample number is a sample of 36 readings. That is my small n is equal to 36. A sample of 36 reading yields a mean of 57.3 units. What is the mean? What is the average? 57.3 units for sample. That is, so sample mean is 57.3. So estimate a confidence interval for the true mean that includes population value of 96.3 of the time. So कितना confidence level interval हमें निकालना है? When the population, by considering the population value of 96.3, we have to calculate the confidence interval. So as usual, firstly, we will calculate the standard error. What is the meaning of standard error here? Standard error is population standard deviation divided by the square root of sample number. So what is the standard deviation for population? It is 1.9 divided by square root of 36 is equal to 1.9 divided by what is the square root of 36? It is 6. So 1.9 divided by 6. So 3167 will be our standard error. So my standard error is the basic calculation in many of the problems we require. So इसका formula आपको ध्यान में रहना चाहिए. Now we have to find out, as usual I told you that Z score with a value of 96.3%. So Z score for 96.3% confidence is 2.5%. It is ready-made taken from that standard table. So we got now standard error, we got now Z. Now we have to go for the margin of error. So what is the formula for margin of error? Margin of error is equal to standard error into Z. So what is how much is the standard error? Standard error is 0.3167 into Z. What is the value of the Z? Value of the Z is 2.15. It is given in the problem itself. So 2.15 into 0.3167. So my margin of error will be 0.6819. So we got now margin of error also. Now how will we calculate the interval estimates? It is sample mean plus and minus margin of activity. So what is my sample mean here? It is 57.3 units that they have already given. So 57.3 minus 0.6819 is equal to 56.618. How will we calculate for upper level? We have to add it. Please do it on your own. That is 57.3 plus 0.6819. अगर किसी ने कैलकुलेट किया होगा तो प्लीज कन्वे योर आंसर थ्रू कमेंट बॉक्स सो दैट दिस विल गिव यू अ कॉन्फिडेंस. So what will be the upper level? Upper level will be 57.3 plus 0.6819, that is 57.982. So what is our answer? 56.618, that is 56.62, and 57.982 means 57.98. So C will be the correct answer for our question. अभी मैंने एक आपके लिए मैसेज लाया हुआ है. कि to make you practice, to make you conversion with the question solving practice or question paper, we are providing 10 mock test question papers for each subject of CIB, that is whether it is ABM, BFM, ABFM and BRBM. And all these question papers are available at our JAIIB-CIB-online.com website. All these question papers are available for free. They are available online and where real-time practice can be done for these question papers. सो मेरी आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है, आप इसमें से ज़्यादा क्वेश्चन पेपर सॉल्व करने की प्रैक्टिस करें, जिसकी वजह से आपका नॉलेज बढ़ेगा, आपका स्पीड बढ़ेगा, आपकी एक्यूरेसी बढ़ेगी, जो आपको एग्जाम में आपका पेपर कंप्लीट करने में हेल्प कर सकती है। इसी के साथ साथ सिंस दिस पेपर्स आर अवेलेबल फॉर रियल टाइम प्रैक्टिस बेसिस, जब भी आप क्वेश्चन पेपर सॉल्व करोगे आपको आपका प्रिपेयर्डनेस पता चल जाएगा। तो मेरी आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है, ये इन्फॉर्मेशन आप आपके फ्रेंड्स एंड कलीग्स को भी कन्वे कीजिए ताकि वो भी इसकी प्रैक्टिस कर सकें एंड वो भी एग्जाम में अच्छे से अच्छे मार्क्स अचीव कर सकते हैं। So with this, we will conclude our discussion for a day. But before that, I would like to request you that अगर आपको आज का डिस्कशन अच्छा लगा होगा तो प्लीज़ प्रेस लाइक बटन, बिकॉज दैट विल बी अ मोटिवेटिंग फैक्टर फॉर मी। अगर आपको आज का डिस्कशन अच्छा लगा होगा तो प्लीज़ कन्वे दिस मैसेज टू योर फ्रेंड्स एंड कलीग्स सो दैट दे कैन ऑल्सो टेक द बेनिफिट ऑफ दिस। आपने अगर हमारा चैनल अभी तक सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया होगा तो प्लीज़ चैनल सब्सक्राइब कीजिए ताकि आपको सभी नोटिफिकेशन टाइमली आ जाएंगे एंड आप कोई भी इम्पोर्टेंट इन्फॉर्मेशन मिस आउट नहीं करेंगे। सो विद दिस आई विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट एंड थैंक यू वेरी मच।